Hey, 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 my KW family. Happy November. And you know what that means? We're just about to that holiday season. Hope you all noticed the uh, house in the background. Anyways, let's get started because there's a lot we need to go over and a lot we need to talk about. So I want to slow down a sec, and I also want you to just preemptively understand that there's going to be an email coming out. As soon as the team meeting's over, I'm going to have Karen send out this email. I'm going to give you a quick glimpse of it, but before we get into that email, something major is coming out, and it's kind of happening effective immediately. Now, when I say effective immediately, I do want to precurse with I just got an email last night about this ongoing subject. And so there are some things that are going to be voted on in December, it looks like. And so, just as of right now, let's just move forward with everything is in full force. And the fact that and some of you have maybe heard this. I know that it's going to be happening in the red line classes. I think that's going on today, actually, while I record this. You guys should be all taking the 2026 red line class. If you haven't taken it or can't take it with the office, find a time to take it. I took mine yesterday online with Cox Education. And the first thing I want to talk about is the consent of disclosure that's going to have to happen as you have employing broker questions or phone calls. And so what's going on right now, effective immediately, is the next time that anyone calls me, emails me, has a question about some sort of property that they're going through, buyer or seller, what I need you to understand is that you are not able to share with me the information that's happening with that transaction unless you get informed consent from your client. Now, when I say information, here's the difference, and here's what I really think the line between a managing broker question is and a situational question is. You guys are able to call me without informed consent to ask me a nuanced question about the contracts. What does this section really mean? How do you interpret that? But as soon as you start to say, hey, my seller, we have a situation happening and it sounds a little like this, you're going to need to have consent from that seller or from that buyer to be able to disclose to me all of the information that's happening within that transaction. And I know a lot of times the employing broker or managing broker questions that you guys have are kind of situational. Very rarely do I have people call me without explaining some sort of situation. I know that a lot of times you guys like to kind of go through everything that's going on, and then you kind of ask me a question that happens with the contract. So let me slow down a little bit and let me explain this again. If it has just a nuanced question to deal with any of the CREC contracts or any of the attorney contracts that come out for our office, you can ask me. You don't have to get consent from your clients to ask me those types of questions. But as soon as you bring in the situation that's going on with your buyer or seller, you need to make sure you have written consent from that client that allows you to basically explain that situation to me. Now, right now, we don't have a approved document from the CREC or our attorney that you have to get signed by your client, but here's what I'm recommending. Everything needs to be in writing. Send your client an email that basically says, hey, look, I need to take this a one step further to my supervising broker to ask them a question about our situation in order for us to move forward. Do I have your consent to allow me to explain that situation to to the managing broker in order for us to get that question answered? They may ask you some questions, and here's what I want to prep you or arm you with. The reason for this consent is because you're giving me some things that are kind of a fiduciary duty on yourself. You are the one to know what kind of negotiating powers that happen. You are the one to understand how low your seller would go in an offer price. Those things, if I had a buyer, I could use them to my advantage. And so, you guys know I don't practice out there right now, but that's why we have to have that is because you're giving up usually something that your seller or your buyer doesn't want the public to know. And I'm now considered the public. And so you have to get that informed consent. Um, so do it through an email. You obviously can do it through text, but what holds up in a court of law a little stronger, a little better would be something in an email. So use an email, use a text message for now. Our attorney is drafting a document, something that you would sign and the buyer or seller would sign in order for that to be done. I will most likely make it mandatory that you email that over to me before you have that conversation with me. But again, if it's just a question about a nuance with the contract, go ahead and give me a call. You don't need any informed consent. Let's continue on. All right, with that being said, let me show you the glimpse of the email that I've gotten, that I've been working on this morning, and then show you a few more things that we need to go over with this video. All right, so first and foremost, we're going to go over a couple of different links. We'll take a look at those in a second. Here is the email that talks about the informed consent and where all the policies are coming from. And then here's what also happened. Late last night, I got an email about midnight last night from our attorney, Damian Cox, and he says, hey, below is an email from the Colorado Association of Realtors regarding all of this stuff. Please go ahead and look over it because I need to make sure I pass this along to all of you guys to make sure that you guys are informed and encourage you guys to have a voice, to voice your concerns at these two different meetings. So for those of you that are going to get heavily involved, please read through this email from the Colorado Real Estate Commission about these rules, about the meetings that are taking place, because you can have a voice and you should have a voice if you have concerns. So that's all going to be in this email that I have Karen send out. But without further ado, let's jump into these links here. I want to switch gears. We were talking about informed consent. This first link doesn't talk about informed consent. This first link talks about all of the changes that are happening in 2026 with our association contracts. I clicked on the wrong link, sorry. So we have new contracts coming out for 2026. And I want you to know that even if you're taking a CE credit for these, there is a free class. There is no CE credits available for this, but the Colorado Real Estate Association has put out a free course, no CE credits. It is free. That goes through all of these changes. So if you notice, as of January 1, 2026, we're going to have 21 different 21 forms that are updated. 21 forms. It sounds like a lot. I've taken the free class. I've also taken the CE credit class. And I want you to know that it is, there are very easy changes to some of the contracts. Like, for instance, our contract to buy and sell real estate residential. They're cleaning up some grammar in there. I don't know if you guys noticed, but residential is spelled wrong twice in that contract. So they're cleaning up some grammatical things, but there are some major changes. One of the major changes that you're going to make sure you dive in on is the seller's property disclosure. The seller's property disclosure practically looks brand new. It was not just changed, it looks very new. So take a look at that. I have my opinions on these things. You guys are going to have your opinions on those things too. I'm not going to go into that, but I want you to know that the first link shows you all of the red line versions that you're able to kind of take a look at, dive into, and see what the changes look like. Like I said, 21 forms, but not to be scared because a lot of these forms just clean up some grammatical things, but there are a few that will change a lot of what's going on. So have a look. This is the link. And then clicking into this is where you can kind of come into that free class that the Colorado Real Estate Commission is putting on. I've noticed that when I took the free class, if you click enroll here, it didn't work for me. So maybe they updated that, but go ahead and scroll all the way down to the bottom and click register. You're not registering for a certain time or date. You're registering for an online portal where you can kind of go through and do it at your leisure. Anyways, guys, if you have any questions, I know this is a long managing broker video. We're going to send out that email here soon. Happy, happy, happy November. And I wish all of you so well throughout this holiday season. Thanks so much. Take care.